There has never been election promises quite like these. Both major parties are leaning into Australian property and first home buyers, both with their own breakout policies. First in a lifetime. And also, property update, Adelaide has just reached $1 million medium house price. So the fifth capital city to reach $1 million. So there you go. There's the heat that has been happening in South Australia. And it's tipped that Perth will tip over that sacred $1 million medium house price mark later this year. So we'll have 6 of our capital cities all with a medium house price of north of $1 million. And also remember, if you are doing a knockdown rebuild, dual occupancy, or multi-townhouse development site, Little Fish are the experts. Book a call with me. Also, come say hello across at Instagram. We've gone public. There's lots of stuff happening over there. Peter Kelly Official. Lots of daily stuff, current trends, keep you up to date with property. And make sure you get into Little Fish Network. Heaps of property speculators in there, helping each other, giving advice. Everyone's boots on the ground. The information's live. Question and answers are live, happening every day inside their amazing community. All right, guys, let's get into the 2 big promises, the core promises of the actual government now, Labor, and then obviously we've got the coalition. Labor first, they're looking at supply. They're suggesting they're going to build 100,000 new homes over the next 8 years for first home buyers. So what is this going to do? They're trying to help the supply, which I think is fantastic. We need to help the supply. For me, not enough detail and probably budgeting all wrong. So they've suggested that they're going to spend $10 billion doing 100,000 homes. Like I said the other day, anyone that's over there on IG watching the reels know when you divide $10 billion by 100,000 homes, you only get $100,000 to build each one of those homes. Buying land and building homes is going to cost much more than that. Put a circle around 400 grand if you like. So per home. So there you go. So instead of doing 100,000 homes over 8 years, that number to me, plain maths, sounds like it's closer to 25,000 homes, which obviously is much more underwhelming. Now, I think there's another issue that surrounds this. The fact that the government is trying to fix a supply-demand issue with housing, by doing a program like this, it potentially presents an issue that is going to affect the supply-demand metrics in our construction industry with already squeezed labour, materials, boots on the ground to actually get these projects up and running. Happened back with COVID when the incentives come out at the start of COVID, incentives to get people building again, with incentives to do renovations, to do new builds, and it put a real squeeze on the construction industry, pumped work into the construction industry, which then led and helped inflation with prices because not enough labour, material shortage, and all that come together, and we know what happened there. So what I'm saying is the government's going aggressive in saying, hey, let's pump out 100,000 homes, which I don't totally disagree with, but the issue with that is I'm not sure that's going to help housing supply overall because potentially that drives up prices in the sector for labour and materials, which is going to be an issue because for me, that's the biggest issue of all. The reason, one of the main reasons that supply is so low, anyone that knows us, we are property developers, boots on the ground every day. Projects aren't hitting the market and they aren't getting delivered upon because of the crazy construction prices that we're seeing. So is a scheme like this going to help or hinder this marketplace? For me, we haven't got enough labour to be able to deal with this work, and that's potentially going to drive up build prices, or it's not going to help them ease and help that inflation in the construction industry ease. So that's a problem. That's a problem for mine. And also, where are they going to build these things? What zones are they looking to build these in? Where are these first home buyers going to live? Are they desirable locations? Are they going to build them in brownfield areas, so inner suburban areas? They're going to try and inject houses into there, or are they looking more sprawling out in greenfield sites? So for me, I need a bit more detail, but to simply say we're going to throw heaps of our taxpayer dollars at this issue, I think it's going to have a negative effect also.
PK, can you reference me the build price before and after the COVID?
Yeah, great point. Because I was listening to a Q&A the other day, Bonnie, that the ABC was running, and they said pre-COVID to post-COVID, build prices had gone up 30%, which is just factually wrong. And it frustrates me every time I hear that crap, because before COVID, 5 years ago now, call it, 5 years ago, we were building dual occupancy, building homes for maybe $850, $900 apples and apples, always. Now we're building the same dwellings for 1.4, 1.5. So to me, that's maybe not 100%, but I'm somewhere closer to 80%, Bonnie. 80% increase in building costs. And we wonder why the supply of new homes are down.
No one building it.
Crazy, man. Crazy. So that's what we've seen. We've seen some developers not push their projects through, which that's affecting supply. And we've seen we work with a lot of investors as well. And investors, based on this inflation they've seen, have some of them have gone, well, you know what? It's a bit expensive. It's not stacking up as well for me. I'm going to go invest in other markets. So you've got heavy money people, very wealthy people that saw property as a safe haven and a great investment for their money, go and do other things in other investment environments. Again, hurting the supply. So the cost of building has been something that is a massive factor in the supply of these new dwellings, and it's something that's probably not really getting spoken about as much, because they think they can go and build 100,000 homes and pay $100,000 for each one. So they're out of touch. They're saying 30%, I'm saying 80%. They're out of touch, Bonnie, and that's part of the issue. All right, let's move on to the next one. The coalition, if they get in government, what are they proposing? Their main play is proposing making your principal place of residence for a new home buyer, if you buy brand new, making it tax deductible. So their numbers have suggested for average income earners that buy a brand new property, $650,000 and above, so the $650,000 is the tax deductible part. There's no limit on the price of the new property, but the tax deductible part is up to $650,000. $650,000 and an average income earners are going to save around $11,000 per year. This scheme will go for the if it's brought in, will go for the first 5 years of owning that property. So saving the homeowner around $55,000 over that lifespan. So for me, for the first home buyers, okay, this is fine. It definitely gives them a nudge. The problem is, and like I sort of said in the intro, a lot of these things and these measures, are they band-aid fixes? Because essentially arming these first home buyers with more money at these auctions or at these private sale negotiations or just getting into the property market, it's arming them with more money. So essentially, brokers will now look at this, and they will be able to look at this in their serviceability calculations. And suddenly all these people that are getting involved in this scheme, these first home buyers, their serviceability will go up because they will be tax deductible for the first 5 years, $11,000 in the first year, $55,000 over the 5 years, and their serviceability will go up. So their ability to pay more for the property will go up, which essentially will then inflate house prices, Bonnie. Now, it may give first home buyers an edge against the rest of the population that is potentially bidding on the home, which I think is probably what they're trying to do. If a first home buyer's going head-to-head with each other, they've both got extra legs based on their ability to loan more because of having their principal place of residence tax deductible. So, but going head-to-head for themselves, I don't think it's going to help them a great deal. But going head-to-head with the rest of the market, I think it helps them. It helps them for sure. So I don't think it's a bad one. I think it can help them. But a lot of these things that they help, maybe with the superannuation, people, the first home buyers that can access their super, I think that's probably a can of worms. That's probably not helping them into the future, into old age, because to access that super as a young person, Bon, and a first home buyer, that money that they withdraw from there, that's the money that's going to compound the most over the decades and decades that it sits in their superannuation. Superannuation they put in last when they're older has less ability to compound over the years. But those, when you're looking at, the mathematics around compounding, the money that you work hard to get into that super as a young professional, that's the money that compounds and starts to pump along over those decades. So to jump into that and grab some out of that, and then bang, put it into a property purchase. Essentially, that wealth that professionals are building for their retirement is coming out of their retirement and probably going into the seller's hands, which is maybe the aging population. So it's a shift. It's a shift in wealth. In my opinion, letting things like that occur, and it's sort of cheating, and it's just that's gonna end up in fueling house prices to go even higher. So anyway, the superannuation stuff and being able to access that definitely has some holes in it.
Hey BK, what about the 5% deposit? What do you think of that?
So yeah, great one, Bonnie. So this is the government's peddling this, and this has already been in the system to this point, but they're going to widen the net if they're re-elected to more people. So this is when first home buyers can just put a 5% deposit down, and the government will guarantee the rest of the amount, so the balance of the first deposit, 15%, and they'll avoid lenders' mortgage insurance, LMI. So they can get into these properties for 5% deposit. So the limit for this scheme, Bonnie, is the median house price in the capital cities of each state. So I think, Sydney circa 1.5, Melbourne, I think it's 900, nearly $1 million. That's the limit for this scheme where first home buyers can have 5% deposit. Now, I haven't got my calculator out right now, but this is the thing you need to think about. In Sydney, if a first home buyer buys $1 million property with 5% down, that's $50,000 down, Bonnie. That's a mortgage of $950,000. The average income earner is never going to be able to afford that anyway. So that's the scary part as well. And $1 million is definitely sort of, I guess, a high number. But the whole idea of a deposit as well, and I appreciate they're hard to save for and they've got even harder to save for, but the idea of having a deposit means that your mortgage is less. So we're going to have all these first home buyers running around with these heavy mortgages, you know what I mean? And I understand potentially we're looking at interest rate cuts, which is amazing, but I know the journey we've been on in the last 3-4 years where interest rates went up 12 consecutive increases over that time, and people's mortgage repayments nearly tripled in that time, Bonnie. What if we run into a situation like that? That's calamity. That's chaos. If people are having these really heavy mortgages as first home buyers, and interest rates double or triple again at some point,
it's killing people.
God forbid. I don't think they will, and hopefully they don't, but I don't know. I haven't got a crystal ball. But stacking these first home buyers with these heavy mortgages, I don't know if that's the answer either. Don't know. Big mortgage is not healthy. And just going back to it, that's what these deposits and having that discipline to save for a deposit over a long amount of time teaches you to have a mortgage. Then you go get a mortgage and you put your deposit into the mortgage, and hopefully that mortgage isn't as high because you've been able to put in a solid deposit and it's taught you the benefits of saving for that deposit. So I don't know, for the fundamental reasons of buying property, holding property, paying down a mortgage, I think it steers away from those fundamentals of being disciplined, saving for a deposit, putting the deposit on, minimizing the mortgage, then attacking the mortgage. These kids are going to be running around with these heavy mortgages, Bonnie, and if they get it themselves in the way of some interest rate rises, watch out, man. So there you go. There you have it, guys. That's another episode. We've got the two potential governments. Will Labor be re-elected? Will the Libs, will the Coalition get in? They're both going ham on property and first home buyers. As we know, there's lots of other issues out there that need attending to, but these are the ones making the headlines. These are the ones they're going for. I'm not sure. There's still a lot to play out. Will they fix the housing supply? I feel like I'm not hearing the biggest issue, which is cost to build. It's the biggest issue. I don't think they can fix it, but that is one of the biggest issues that we're seeing boots on the ground. We need people to come back and be pumping these houses out and pumping these developments out. And I'm not sure it's going to help. There's a lot of other items in there that will probably just push house prices up. Thanks for joining. Get across to Instagram, Peter Kelly Official. Lots of stuff coming out there on the daily. Little Fish Network, get in there. Lots of professionals in there talking about property and the opportunities that they see out there. So get in there. It's free. Crazy if you don't get in there. The opportunities are getting spoken about there every day and where the opportunities are, and that's super important for you guys. And make sure if you're doing a knockdown rebuild, dual occupancy or multi-townhouse development site, book a call with me. Let's go. Have a great week, guys.